Hey, Andrew Januik here, coming at you from our cellar in Woodinville, Washington. I'm really excited for you all to try the 2017 Stone Cairn. This is a wine that is really special to me. It was the first wine that I made independently from any other wines. A little backstory about me. I started working in the wine industry when I was about 12 or 13, so really grew up in it. And by the time I was about 15 or 16, I'd been exposed to a lot of wines, especially from Washington State. And even at that point, I knew that I really loved Red Mountain. It was the first growing region that really stood out to me as being incredibly unique, not tasting like anything else that I'd worked with in Washington State, or really tasting like anything else that I had experienced from other parts of the U.S. or abroad. So for that reason, as the first wine I did independently, I wanted to focus on Red Mountain fruit. So the 2017 is coming from a few really amazing vineyards: Obelisco Vineyard, Quintessence Vineyard, and Ciel de Cheval Vineyard. For those of you who don't know much about the Columbia Valley or Red Mountain is actually the smallest growing region in the state, so it's really small, and basically the whole region is fully planted to grapes because it makes no sense to have anything else there, because it's so warm and has such great exposure with southwest facing slopes, basically the entire AVA. What that means is that all the vineyards are getting all this exposure and all this heat, so wines typically are really intense. You get really small clusters and really small berries, so you're getting an intensity in the fruit that is really hard to match. In a lot of ways, that's what makes it special, but it's also what makes it challenging, where with the winemaking, when you have such a high ratio of skins to berries, you actually have to show a lot of restraint in the winemaking in order to make wines that are balanced, that have elegance, instead of just, are huge. Because with Red Mountain, it's really easy to make huge wines, and the real challenge is how do you make wines that are going to have more to them than just that big upfront flavor. And I think this is a wine that does accomplish that. And with that comes wines that are very ageable. So if you don't want to drink the wine right away, it will definitely last. In fact, I'm holding a 2012 vintage, which I have recently opened up, and it is really, I'm a little biased, but I think pretty phenomenal. And even though it's a warm region, which people sometimes think of not as being the best for ageability, Red Mountain is an exception for that. A lot of that comes from its really cool nights, because even though you get these long, hot days, because it's so cold at night there, your vines have a chance to shut down, and the fruit there keeps a lot of natural acidity, which keeps a lot of balance, and then once again, a lot of ageability to those wines. The 2017 vintage was, I think really quite stellar for Washington. The one thing that really stands out to me about 2017 is, and also 2020, which has just happened, but those are the two vintages that you really got a lot of smoke throughout the West Coast. So for those of you in California, you probably think about what's happened to Napa and Sonoma, which is obviously horrible, but lots of that smoke is coming up to Washington also, and then also down from BC. Long story short, we had this really long stretch of smokiness, but the thing about smoke is that it really has to be really intense, kind of almost wafting in the vineyard, to really have what we call smoke taint, or really affect that individual berry, where it's actually getting those flavors, those smoky flavor profiles into the cluster. We're kind of weirdly, for Columbia Valley and Red Mountain specifically, we had this smoke, but it wasn't intense enough to actually affect the flavors. But what it did is it really cooled down the eastern part of our state where the fruit is, and it also kind of cut off a lot of photosynthesis, which oftentimes people would think of that as being a problem. But for us, we have no issues with getting the fruit to ripeness. So this 2017 wine that you're gonna try actually got way more hang time than you normally get there. So I actually think that a lot of ways the 2017 wines have an extra level of complexity because of that extra hang time. And I'm really excited about the vintage across the board. And I hope you enjoy it. If you make it up to Washington, I would love for you to come taste the wines in our winery. We have wines from all over the state. We even have some wines from South America, and I think you get a really good idea of everything that Washington has to offer. A lot of different varieties, a lot of different stylistic choices based on where the state is coming from. But like I said, Red Mountain was kind of first in my heart. So yeah, cheers.